Hey, fourth grade. Okay, kind of exciting news, but bittersweet too. So many of you sent in votes for our next read aloud. Um, there were two far and above favorites. So I went on to my Access 360, which is the online Johnson County Library, and I tried to get both of those books to read to you. They're both on about a 20-day hold. So I put both books on hold, and as soon as one of them comes through, I will go ahead and start reading that. Do you want to know the two books that are at the top of the list? Okay, so The Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus was one of the top vote getters. And then Land of Stories, book 2, is the other top vote getter. So again, I have a request for both of those books on Access 360. As soon as one of those comes into availability, I will start reading one of those to you. In the meantime, I've been doing some cleaning of my own daughter's bookshelves and closets, and I found this. And I thought that would be really fun to read in the meantime. So, Swindle by Gordon Corman, and actually one of the other books that you guys suggested, Restart, is by this same author. So you could maybe try and find that one online or start reading from the same author if you're enjoying Swindle. Okay, so Swindle is a Scholastic published item, so thank you to Scholastic Books for allowing us to read this online. First page says, you have been chosen for your special skills to do something that urgently needs to be done. To learn more, come to the ballroom at 3:30. Don't miss this. It will be worth your while, meaning dollars. Intrigued? And then chapter 1 starts this way. 2 weeks earlier. So is the author starting us with a flashback? Things that we need to know before we get into the main part of the book? It says sneaking out at night. Some helpful hints. 1. When lying to your parents, maintain eye contact. Not that we're suggesting that you sneak out at night or that you lie to your parents. Number 2. Make sure you ask permission to attend the correct fake sleepover. Boys, Stan Winter's place. Girls, Karen Lebonsky's. That's what you should use. Number 3, meet at the old Rockford house at 8:30 p.m. Friday. Again, you can't miss it. There's a grave with a giant wrecking ball parked in front of it. And 4, enter through missing planks in the boarded up window, first floor, east side. I wonder if the genre of this book is a mystery. So far, it seems like it. Oh, and the list continues. Number 5, bring your sleeping bag. Remember, the old Rockford house is a condemned building, meaning it will be demolished. It is condemned and to be demolished tomorrow. There will be no beds, no running water, no furniture, no lights, no TV. So why are they having a sleepover there? Lots of questions. Do we have a setting yet? Maybe. Old abandoned building, I suppose. Do we have a year or a time? I don't think so. And we actually don't really have any characters yet, do we? So those are the things to kind of be listening for at the very beginning of a book. So when a plan came from Griffin Bing, even the tiniest detail had to be perfect. Oh, now we have a character. He had agonized over every fine point and possibility. Well, all except one. What if nobody showed up? We probably shouldn't have put in the part about no TV. Griffin's friend Ben Slavic, he said that glumly. Griffin and Ben sat cross-legged on their sleeping bags in what had once been a very elegant living room. They were surrounded by shredded drapery, remnants of ancient furnishings, and mounds of dust. All around them, the cavernous old house creaked and groaned with hollow, eerie noises. Outside, a thunderstorm raged. All of a sudden, we have a setting, this kind of haunted abandoned house, and we have a character. No, wait, Griffin. Griffin trained the beam of his flashlight on his wristwatch. 10:34 p.m. I can't believe it, he seethed. How could we get nobody? 28 people said they were coming. Oh, maybe they're just late, Ben offered kind of lamely. 9 o'clock is late. 10:30, well, that's just no-shows. Don't they have any self-respect? This is like saying it's totally fine for the adults in this town to walk all over us. Ben would have dearly loved to be no-show number 29. Only loyalty to his best friend had brought him here tonight. Come on, Griffin, he reasoned. What difference does it make if 2 people or 200 people spend the last night in a condemned building? How does that show the adults that we're standing up for our rights? They're never even going to know that we were here. But we'll know, Griffin said stoutly, sticking out his jaw. Sometimes you just have to prove to yourself that you're more than just a slab of meat under the shrink wrap in your grocer's freezer. That's quite a metaphor, isn't it? Why do you think I came up with the fake sleepover idea anyway? I wanted to make sure everybody had an excuse to be here. That was the whole point behind the plan. The plan. Ben groaned inwardly. It was the best thing about Griffin. It was also the worst. Griffin Bing was the man with the plan. That reminds me of the winds of change from our last book. So maybe we're going to hear this man with a plan throughout the whole book, a little repetition. Keep it in mind. That's just my inference or guess. Maybe the other kids wanted to come, but they were scared, Ben suggested. Scared of what? Griffin challenged. Dust? The rain? A whole night with no TV? Oh, this house is supposed to be haunted, Ben insisted. You know all the rumors. What rumors? Griffin scuffed. How do you think it got abandoned in the first place? Old man Rockford was in jail for cutting up his wife with a chainsaw. That's what Darren said. When's the last time Darren said anything that's been worth the air it took to blow it out of his big fat head? Griffin exploded. He also says he's distantly related to the Rockfords. There's no proof whatsoever of this. And besides, they didn't even have chainsaws back in old man Rockford's time. Little dispute. Well, they had railroads, Ben noted. According to Marcus, the real murder weapon was a railway spike pounded into her skull. Griffin wasn't buying this. He's just pulling your chain. You know how he loves messing with people. But Pitch doesn't. And you know what she heard? The house is haunted by the spirit of a dog that the old man brought home from Europe after World War I. Maybe it wasn't a dog. Griffin rolled his eyes. Okay, if it wasn't a dog, then what was it? A Komodo dragon? Ben shrugged. Nobody knows. But just a few days after it got to town, pets started disappearing. At first, just a little kitten, some puppies. But pretty soon, full-grown St. Bernards were vanishing right into thin air. And there were bones buried all around the house. Only Rockford wasn't feeding his dog any bones. Still a little mystery, maybe? All of a sudden, a flash of lightning cast strange angular shadows through the boarded-up windows. Ben paused to let his story sink in. The townspeople took the law into their own hands. They put rat poison inside a big steak and left it on the doorstep. It never occurred to them that if an evil spirit could live inside a dog, it could live inside something else, too. What else? Like a house? He peered around at the shadowed walls as if expecting to see something supernatural and hideous coming through. Oh, come on. Griffin refused to be shaken. There's no such thing as a haunted house. Well, Marcus heard the same story, Ben said with a sniff. No, he didn't. Griffin reminded him. He heard the one about the railway spike. He heard both. And so did Savannah. Only in her version, it wasn't a dog, it was a baby. Why would the townspeople poison a baby? They didn't. It got carried off by a chicken hawk. But the baby's ghost put a curse on the house to take back all the years it never got to live. Then there was the school teacher, the first non-Rockford who ever lived here. No one saw her again after the day she moved in. Or maybe they did. People talked about an old woman peering out an attic window, but here's the thing. The school teacher was supposedly only 23. Are these like legends maybe about this old house? Yeah. Then a gust of wind blew through the eaves, and an unearthly moaning sound echoed around them. Ben's head retreated, turtle-like, into his collar, and even Griffin paled just a little bit. No offense, Ben, but shut up. You're starting to creep me out. Griffin panned the crumbling walls with his flashlight. It's almost 11, you know. Nobody's coming. Gutless wonders. It's the railway spike, said Ben nervously. That's got to be a splitting headache. Literally. Griffin spread out his bedroll and lay back, standing his flashlight on its base like a miniature floor lamp. Come on, let's try to get some sleep. The sooner the sun rises, the sooner we get out of this rat trap. So again, who wants to be there and who's there just to support his friend? Maybe we could just leave now, Ben suggested, hopefully. Since, nobody else came, they'll never know that we weren't here all night. Griffin was horrified. You mean back down? These two words were not in Griffin's vocabulary. I didn't want my years sucked away by some baby's ghost. There's no such thing, Griffin exclaimed. Who says you have to believe in ghosts to be afraid of ghosts? Ben challenged. Okay, all right, fine. I'll sleep. He rolled over onto his side, pulling his knees to his chest. But if I wake up 85 years old, you owe me $20. Deal. So they lay there in silence for what seemed like a long time, listening to the machine gun rhythm of rain on the ancient slate roof. Good way to describe a thunderstorm? Griffin stared up at the gaping hole in the ceiling that had once held a chandelier. I hope you know how much I appreciate this. You are really the only kid who even had the guts to see this through with me. His friend said nothing, so Griffin went on. I mean it, man. The others. They talked a good game, but where are they? Darren dared half the 6th grade to come to this. He even made fun of us, said we'd wimp out. But who's the real wimp? Huh, Ben? Ben's reply was slow, steady, almost. Was he snoring? Ben? Griffin sat up and peered at his friend. Yep, Ben was curled into a ball on his bedroll, fast asleep. Griffin let out a low whistle of admiration. Creepy house, creepy night, and Ben was relaxed enough to doze off. He came off as a big chicken sometimes, but when it really counted, he was just too cool for school. It was harder for Griffin to settle down. Not because he was scared. No, not at all. Griffin stayed up because he was mulling over the reason he and Ben were camping out with dust bunnies and a century of supernatural speculation. He was thinking about his last plan. And remember, Griffin is the man with a plan. Chapter 2 for tomorrow. Proposal for development of Rockford site. Okay, see you tomorrow.